All right, so you can find a comfortable seat. So you might need, all right, so for this class, you might need 2 blocks if you have. If you don't have, that's okay. Just do with that. It's not super important. All right, so we can start by getting a little bit of wrist warm up. Always a good idea. Anything that works for you. You can stretch your hands, interlacing your fingers. So we start getting maybe a little bit into the shoulders by stretching the arms up. Just getting a little bit of movement for the start of the class. Rolling the wrists a few times. Just so that you get some blood flowing into the wrists. So today, I'd like to do a little bit more of alignment on the down dog. So this is not very common in Hatha Yoga, but usually in my classes, I do some Surya Namaskars, the sun salutations, and you can interlace your fingers maybe behind your back and bring your hands to one side and then the other one. So in Surya Namaskar, we've got quite a few down dogs, and I often see people not doing it super right, and over time it can create some pain or injuries in shoulders and wrists. So it's a good idea to try to get that right. So we'll just start the class with our traditional Om chant, just so that we connect to our practice, to ourselves. So in a comfortable seat, which you should already have in your sacred space, you can now come to close your eyes. You can keep your palms open to the sky. And just finding your breath for a moment. So noticing how the breath allows you to come a little bit more inwards, to start really feeling into the body. So that's very important as we go through this sort of workshop-like class, little tutorial on good alignment for the down dog. What's really important for the down dog is to, as all yoga asanas, is to really feel it. Everyone's a little bit different, but there's some very general cues that are good to help progress into it, open up. But again, very important is to really feel. So again, using the breath, you can connect, start to bring your full and complete awareness into the room, the body, your practice. And now, with our Om chant, we start to align the chakras, connect at a deeper level, more energetic level. Exhaling the air out the nostrils, you take a deep inhale in through your nose. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Just noticing what you feel in your body today, right this second. Gently opening your eyes. All right, so we're going to start onto all fours. So you're going to bring your knees equidistant apart, right under your hips, and your wrist should be right under your shoulders. You want to almost even pretty much start to come slightly forward, so your armpits are just above your wrists. And you can start to find maybe an Ujjayi breath, so slight constriction into the back of the throat. You can start to get some movement. So for a few cat and cow, so cat and cow, you start arching into the spine as you look up, belly towards the floor. As you exhale for your cat, you start pushing your shoulder blades up to the spine, tucking the tailbone under, looking at your navel. So cat and cow, as you progress, warming up the spine, warming up the shoulders, is a very good pose to start to become aware of your hand position. So your hand position, you should have your fingers spread out nice and wide. So you can take a moment here, maybe show me, I care about you, so I want to see everything. So maybe show me in between your fingers, that little space here, that little skin in between your fingers. So you want your fingers really spread out nice and wide. So you have a really good base here. As you continue with your cat and cow, so start to really feel the pressure of your hands on the floor. And you want to be feeling more so your finger knuckles and also the base of the palm here. So you have a really good, strong, stable base here. And you want to start to feel a bit more into those hands and more so into the index knuckle. So you want to be thinking of bringing your hands slightly inwards, kind of almost if you wanted to lift your little finger, pinky finger, so that you really press more so to the inside of the hands. Often people have a tendency to sort of get a bit lazy, elbows out, and you're more so to the outside of the hands on the pinky, which is not good for the wrists. So again, as you start warming up your spine, start to feel this alignment with your hands. And as you exhale next into cat, so you really want to be pressing your index knuckle, and from your index knuckle all the way to your shoulders. See if you can reach your shoulder blades up to the sky, the back of the heart to the sky, and you want to be feeling your shoulder blades sort of separating. So imagine your cat. I don't know if you have cats, or you must have seen cats when they stretch, they really push it, even the hairs on the back separate, and you want to try to feel that. Your navel should be going up towards the spine. As you inhale, you release, you should be feeling your shoulder blades coming in towards each other. So you can start to really feel into your spine, your shoulders. So you might almost feel your ears going up to your shoulders as you exhale. And see if, as you inhale into your cat, see if you can start to really draw your shoulders and elbows back so that you can create some space into the neck. So as you look up, create some space. As you exhale, you're a bit more into your ears with your shoulders. All right, so now coming to a neutral position. So try to make, again, some space into the neck here. So you want to be feeling your shoulder blades working towards your hips so that you lengthen into the neck. So you want to almost feel like you're pushing your hands back. So just like gripping really with your hands, tip of the fingers gripping, and just like if you wanted to pull the mat towards your knees so that your shoulder blades go towards your hips, shoulders away from the ears, so that you really create some length, still pushing nice and strong, so your elbows are straight. And you want to be thinking of bringing your hands inwards, so that you bring the crease of the elbows pointing forward. So this will help you with your vinyasa as we go through into onto the floor. And that way you should be feeling a bit more broadening into your shoulders so that you reach back. Also, you want to have your index finger pointing can see very well here. Index finger is pointing forwards and aligned with the outside edge of the shoulders. So you reach back with your shoulders and you release. So we just do that a few times, bringing your shoulders up into your ears. So this is what you don't want to do, but going into what we don't want to do, you might feel how you go into the other side. So reaching your shoulder blades towards your hips. You can do that just a few times. So only the arms, the shoulders should be moving. So arms are still straight. And you just bring your shoulder blades up to your shoulders, up to your ears. So just like when you're going a bit like this. If that's easier, maybe you can just do that a few times. Relaxing the shoulders as you exhale. Inhale, exhale. So maybe doing that into your cat and cow. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So nice and slow. Maybe a few more times. And we're going to move into Anahata. So before we get into the down dog, shoulders are quite important to start being open. So the good way to do this, you can bring your elbow just about where your hands are and you come onto your forearms. And you can start to walk your knees back a little bit, making sure that your hips are going to stay right above your knees, and you can start to bring your chest down towards the floor, so you can bring your forehead to the floor. So keep pressing your hands nice and firm into the floor, feeling the arching into your lower back. So keep reaching your hips back and up. So this is also called puppy pose. So before we take it to down dog, before the big dog, we have the little puppy. And just see if you can start feeling this opening into hips, opening of the shoulders. Still trying to get your shoulders away from your ears. We'll just take a few breaths here, not going too deep if you're not warm yet, just to get a bit of opening into the shoulders and feeling the stretch of the hips back and up. Nice and slow, we're going to come forward. You can walk your knees slightly forward under your hips. And you can tuck your toes under. So just taking a moment to check that your hands are still in good position. So again, your fingers are spread out nice and wide. You want your index finger to be pointed forward and aligned with the outside edge of your shoulders. So that way your hands are just a little bit wider than shoulder width. You press that into the floor. Again, if you can think of rolling your forearm inwards so that you press more so onto your index finger. And then you tuck your toes under, so really press your hands onto the floor. And then you're going to start to lift your knees. Just lifting your knees slightly off the floor, and you want to really push your hands from your index finger all the way to your hips. So you want to be feeling the stretch through your shoulders, reaching back. So you start with a soft leg into your knee, so there's no point going already with a straight leg. And you want to feel that alignment from your wrist, shoulder to your hip. So ideally, your arms and back spine is in line. And then you can start to bend one knee after the other, maybe just getting a little bit of movement so that you start to get into your down dog, getting some kicks out of the way, maybe opening the shoulders a little bit more as you bend one knee. Your hip is going out one way, so you'll be feeling a bit more stretch under the armpit, the side of the body. And then coming back to neutral, so you might want to rebend maybe a bit your knees so that you push your hips back and up, so really lengthening. And you want to try to keep the alignment that we had before, so shoulder blades down as much as possible so that you lengthen into the neck. So you don't want to have any tension into your neck, trapezius. And see if you can let your head drop down. You want to make sure that your shoulders are broadening as well. So just like we did before, as you work your shoulders away from your ears, your shoulders broaden, you relax into the neck, and you can look between your knees. You can keep a soft bend into your knees until one day, maybe you bring your feet flat. You want to make sure that your feet are hip width distance apart with and being parallel to each other. And don't worry if your heels are not touching the floor yet. I've done this a few times. Seulement une ou deux fois. Again, what's important here is not to have the legs straight. If you don't have the hamstring flexibility, it's not going to happen. And then by wanting to straighten your legs, what's going to happen is your back is going to round, which is not what we want. So you bend into your knees, reach your hips back. So your back is nice and straight. That's what we want. And then over time, it will automatically just start to open up a bit more the back of the body, the calves, hamstrings, and then you will start to get into a more pretty pose. It's not about the looks anyway, it's more about what you feel. So a few more breaths into your down dog. See if you can keep the gaze at your knees or maybe even your navel. You want to really use your core here, navel in towards the spine. So you engage your core. And you can also activate your quads. So if you activate your quads, your thighs, it will help with the hamstring stretch. So you want to pull your thighs up towards your belly as you use your core, reach your hips up. Maybe a little yes and no with your head. Very good. And then slowly coming down. Onto your knees, you can release, maybe give a bit of a stretch to your wrists. So one way to stretch the wrist really nice is to get hold just under the wrists with your index and thumb and making the hand really loose. And you just shake it. Once more for the side. So if you have blocks, one thing you can try, this is probably a bit more for beginners, but just placing your blocks just about shoulder width. So placing your hands again onto your block, and you're just going to try. So this really helps to get the alignment with the back flat and not around the back so much. So bending into your knees as much as possible, so you really feel a bit more how this helps to push the hips really back and up. If you don't have blocks, you can just do again your down dog on the floor. That's all right, just bending your knees and pushing your hips back. Just a couple of times here. And then we'll come back down on our knees. I just want to go through, we're not going to go through a whole vinyasa sequence, but I just want to mention, so we go through Surya Namaskar, sun salutation. So what's important also, as already mentioned, is to really work the shoulders away from the ears as we come down into Ashtanga position. So Ashtanga position, we start from the Chaturanga, we bring the knees down, so it's a bit different from the cat and cow, wider stance. But what's really important here is to try to keep the shoulder blades up. So again, this alignment of pushing the hands right into the floor, reach your shoulder blades up and shoulders away from the ears. And then you start to come forward, bending into the elbows. So again, you want to be turning the eye of your elbow outwards. So just like if you wanted to sort of open your hands energetically, that way, that will allow you to have your elbows pointing back. Because often what I see is I see people going down with the elbows out. That means you're turning in too much. So you have your elbows facing each other. You want to open up, but you want to keep your elbows in. That way, when you go down, you start moving forward, so shoulders are away from the ears, and as you start moving forward, bringing the weight of the body onto your shoulders, you really feel your deltoid and triceps working, so that's what you want. That way you start arching into your spine, and you come down, chest, forehead. So you notice that my elbows are pointing back. You also maybe notice that my mic has gone out. So very important to keep the elbows off the floor. So this is not like puppy that we did. Your elbows are not coming down on the floor. They stay up and back as much as possible. Chest, forehead to the floor. And then you release. And then we move through that vinyasa, bhujangasana. And then that's where we move from there to our down dog. So you tuck your toes and you can move through, maybe even just passing through a child's pose is quite helpful to feel that stretch of the spine and the hips back and up. So from there, again, you press your hands, still aligned, shoulders broaden, you lift your knees, and you can even almost stay into this pose. That's very good for the core as well. Strengthening a little bit, just really lengthening, and then over time you reach up and heels down. All right, so how does that feel? Good. So we'll put that into good practice now. So we'll start with our Surya Namaskar. So see if you can really remember the alignment of the hands, protracting the shoulders, so shoulder blades down as you move through Surya Namaskar. So let's come to the top of the mat. Hopefully you feel that, and we'll put it into practice. So top of the mat, feet together. You can bring your hands at your heart center into Tadasana. Nice and slow, still going with your Ujjayi breath. As you inhale, you stretch your arms up, look up. So again, relaxing into your shoulder blades already. Opening your arms, keeping your arms parallel in line with your body. Nice and slow as you exhale. You can start to fold at the hip level, bending into the knees as much as needed, protecting your lower back. Fingertips to the floor. So nice and slow as we're going to step back with our left leg. You can already place your hands on the floor. So left leg back, you drop your knee, point your toes. You can be maybe on your fingertips, or if you have already a bit more open into your body, you can place your hands already on the floor. Again, index finger aligned with the outside edge of your shoulders, and then looking up. Nice and slow, we're going to move into Chaturanga, so you can tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, press your hands onto the floor, and you stretch your right leg back. So we're into Chaturanga. So again, shoulders over the wrists. Moving into Ashtanga. As you exhale, you bring your knees down. And again, that's where you want your elbow crease forward, so that when you start bending into your elbows point back, and you start moving your weight slightly forward, shoulder blades back, bringing your chest all the way down. Releasing all the way down onto your belly. You point your toes, so your hands shouldn't be moving. As you inhale, you use your back muscles to move into Ardha Bhujangasana. Lengthening into the neck, so shoulder blades are still relaxed. Slowly you can release. Tucking your toes under. Pushing onto your hands. You can stretch your hips back through a child's pose. So stretching from your index finger all the way to your hips. And then you lift your knees, pushing your toes into the floor, lift up, and voila, we're into down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So maybe just a couple of bends into the knees, walking your dog. And then on your next inhale, looking forward between your hands, you're going to step your left foot forward right by your left hand, using your core muscles. You drop your back knee, point your toes, and as you inhale, you look up. Nice and slow, you release, looking down, stepping all the way forward. Maybe still a soft bend into your knees, and as you inhale, you can start to roll your spine up vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way up. Lifting your hands all the way to the sky. Exhale, you release. All right, so let's take one more round on the other side. Inhale. And then we'll go into some more alignment. Exhale, folding forward. Maybe soften into your knees still. Already placing your fingers as they should. For your down dog, you step your right leg back, drop the knee, point the toes. Again, if you can bring your hands back already, that's good. Looking up, you can even roll your eyes upwards to your third eye. Slowly releasing, you tuck your back toes. Chaturanga, you can hold the breath here for a moment, checking that your fingers are nicely aligned, shoulders over your wrists. As you exhale, Ashtanga, knees, chest, forehead. So keep pointing the elbows back, elbows are off the floor, coming slightly forward, shoulder blades nice and relaxed towards your hips, releasing all the way down to the floor. Point your toes as you inhale using your back muscles. You can start lifting maybe a little bit higher this time into your full Bhujangasana. Again, you don't want to have your shoulders up to your ears. You want to really lengthen into your neck. So you bring your shoulders down towards your hips, broadening into the collarbone, feeling the stretch into the whole front of the body. Slowly releasing, mindfully roll your spine down. You tuck your toes under. Again, push onto your hands, reaching your hips back and up. So your elbows are still pointing back. Extend your arms. Push onto your feet, you reach your hips back and up. As you inhale, you step your right leg forward. Drop your knee, point your toes, look up. Nice and slow as you exhale, looking down, stepping forward. Maybe still bending into your knees if you need to. Slowly you can start to come up. Exhale, you release. All right, so we'll go with a little bit of a different move for our vinyasa just to get a bit more alignment going. So hands back to prayer position. Inhale, stretching your arms up, look up. Exhale, folding forward. So we keep working with the breath. Again, pay attention to your hands. Stepping your left leg back. Drop your knee. So now this time, you can slightly start to come up. You can place your hands onto your front knee. You want to extend slightly your front leg so that you come also onto your left knee, just to make sure that you get good alignment. So pushing onto your hands, you extend your arms. So you might have a tendency to bring your shoulders up to your ears. So again, see if you can find some length into the neck as you push. See if you can drop your shoulders down towards your hips, and you want to also rotate your pelvis so that your hips are nice and squared as much as possible. So lower ribs, navel in as you keep pushing. So that should be having you feel a good length into the whole spine from your tailbone to the crown of the head. So neck is nice and long. And then once you've got this, see if you can keep this, and you can start to rebend into your front knee, dropping your hips down towards the floor a bit more. So this is more vinyasa thing actually, where you're going to your low lunge and high lunge, but this is a good alignment to really feel into the shoulder blades. And then slowly we'll release, and we'll move through planting your hands, so making sure you have this alignment. Stepping back, chaturanga, nice and slow, lowering your knees. Again, keep pointing your elbows back, shoulder blades down towards your hips. You release all the way down. Inhale, lifting into Bhujangasana. Relax your shoulders, maybe look up, feeling the stretch into the whole front of the body. Slowly releasing. Tuck your toes, stretch back through child's pose or straight into your down dog. Keep lengthening from your index finger all the way to your hips. And if you have your feet flat, lengthen from your heels all the way to your hips. Navel in. The inhale, you step your left foot forward right between your hands. Drop your knee, point your toes. Again, nice and slow, coming up. So we'll take that same alignment that we did before. So you push onto your knee, coming back slightly. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. So if this helps, you can also interlace your fingers. Lengthening into the spine, taking your tailbone under, squaring your hips, and then you can start to rebend into your front knee. Just one breath here. Slowly releasing, hands onto the floor, stepping forward. Inhale, coming all the way up. And we'll just take the other side. Nice and slow. We move again with the breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, falling forward. Stepping this time your right leg back. Drop your knee, point your toes. Now this time keeping your hands on the floor. So see if you can find almost that same alignment that we had before, but still with your hands on the floor. So you want to really square your hips, protract your shoulders. So again, you reach your shoulder blades down towards your hips, trying to square your hips, almost like you're scooping your tailbone under as you look up. So finding length into the neck. You're a bit more open now. Should be feeling it a bit better than the first few rounds. And then slowly releasing, stepping back to Chaturanga. Exhaling into Ashtanga, knees, chest, forehead. Slowly releasing, point your toes. Inhale, lift up, use your back muscles, Bhujangasana, look up, feeling the stretch into the whole front of the body. Exhale, nice and slow, you rebel into your elbows, tuck your toes, using your core muscle, you stretch your hips up and back. From your index finger all the way up to your hips. Now stepping your right leg forward. Again, you drop your knee, point your toes, hands flat, just like we did before. See if you can bring your hips down as you scoop your tailbone under. You keep reaching your shoulder blades back, looking up. You keep pushing your hands onto the floor, but at the same time, you reach back and down with your shoulder blades, lengthening into the neck. And as you exhale, you release, stepping all the way forward. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, release. Oh, very good. Should be feeling quite warm. So now we take Padmasana. So we keep working a bit more on the shoulders. Also, we'll be stretching the hamstrings. Very important for this down dog. So if you can just maybe bring your hands into your back, getting hold of your elbows, or if you have the prayer position, you can bring your palms to touch together, and you lift your fingers up so that you press with your pinky into the back of your heart. See if you can get your palms together. Then you're going to step your right leg back just about 3-4 feet, spin your back heel down, so aligning your heels as much as possible on the same line, on the axis of the mat, almost. Back foot is 45 degrees. And you want to make sure that you square your hips. So you draw your left hip back, right hip forward, keeping your shoulders right above your hips. And as you inhale, you can look up, lengthening into the front of the body, making sure that you don't lose the squaring of the hips as you exhale, keeping your spine nice and flat and long. You can start to fold over your leg, looking at your big toe. So you really want to be pushing onto your front big toe all the way back. So your left hip goes back, right hip goes forward, so that you keep the squaring into the hips. And you want to keep the shoulder blades, again, nice and relaxed. So spine is nice and long. Relaxing the shoulder blades down towards your hips. Keep that squaring. So pressing your back heel onto the floor so that you bring your right hip forward. Again, you want the spine to be nice and horizontal as much as possible. So the aim here is not to bring your forehead to your knee, rounding the spine. There's not much point. You're not going to get so much of a stretch into your left hamstring. If you lengthen, tailbone back, crown of the head forward, and again, you draw your shoulder blades down, maybe elbows up so that you push even more into the back of your heart. You're going to find maybe a bit more length into the spine, feeling a bit more broadening into the collarbones. And we stay there just only about 10 minutes. Just kidding. One more breath. Nice and slow. So pressing onto your left big toes. Inhale, you come up. Exhale, you're going to step forward. And we take the other side. So stepping your left leg back, trying to get the same stance that you had before. So promoting symmetry into the body. You bring your back heel down. So again, aligning your heels together, back foot 45 degrees. Inhaling as you keep your hips nice and squared. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to come forward. So again, keeping your spine nice and straight. horizontal. So keep your hips nice and squared. So again, as you press into your front foot, your right hip goes back. As you press onto your back heel, pressing the outer edge of your back foot, your left hip comes forward. So your hips are parallel to the front edge of the mat. Spine is nice and straight, horizontal. So we hinge at the hip level here. Again, now pay attention to your shoulders. So shoulder blades down towards your hips. Again, see if you can lift maybe your elbows. So you feel the broadening into the collarbones. Every inhale, you lengthen into the spine, crown of the head forward, tailbone back. Every exhale, you try to soften into your right hip crease. So you really hinge here at the hip level, no rounding of the spine. You're staying there for a few more breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose, making sure you don't lose the breath. Nice and slow as you inhale, you come up, stepping forward, and you bring a namaskar in front of your heart. Very good effort. Maybe shaking your arms if you feel you need to. So now we're going to move into another pose, Prasarita Padottanasana, where we step the left leg back. And we're going to parallel the feet, so it's quite a wide stance, probably a meter or meter upon 2, depending on your height. Again, you want to try to keep your hips nice and squared. You can bring your hands onto your hips, parallel to each other. As you inhale, you look up, and as you exhale, again, you fold at the hip level. So using your hands to feel that folding at the hip level, keeping the spine nice and straight. Again, horizontal to the floor, and then you just drop your hands under your shoulders. So you might have that same alignment that we had before. Your index finger aligned with the outside edge of your shoulders. You take a deep inhale to again lengthen into the spine. So as much as possible, you're going to keep your spine nice and straight. And as you exhale, you can start to walk your hands back, aligning your fingertips with your toes. Again, spine is nice and straight. The hinge happens at the hip level. So ideally, your legs are straight, maybe just to soften into your knees if you're really tight into the hamstrings. And you just walk your hands back as much as comfortable, working the crown of the head towards the floor. And you keep your arms parallel to each other with your elbows pointing back. So again, we've got that same alignment. As we go through our vinyasa, the elbows are pointing back behind you, and you keep looking between your legs at your nose tip. Every inhale, feeling the energy of the earth from your heel going all the way up to your sit bones. So sit bones are pushing right up to the sky at the same time from your tailbone all the way to the crown of the head, lengthening into the spine. So you want to be relaxing every exhale into your hips. Navel, again, navel is in towards the spine. Few deep breaths in here. In through the nose. Out through the nose. Nice and slow as you inhale. Flat spine, you walk your hands back under your hips, looking forward. As you exhale, you bring your hands back onto your hips. Inhaling, coming all the way up. Very good. And now you can bring your heels in, adjusting your stance. Maybe you might have a bit of a wide stance. You just go for a whole stance so that you open a bit more again into your hips. You can extend your arms out in T-shaped position just so that we work onto the shoulders. And as you exhale, you're going to start bending into your knees, sending your knees out. So your feet are just about 45 degrees. Arms out in T-shaped position. See if you can keep relaxing your shoulder blades down. And see if you can bring your hips parallel to the floor. So nice strong core, spine is nice and straight. So again, you don't want to have your shoulders up into your ears. You're relaxing to your shoulder blades. Arms are still nice and strong. And you can keep smiling. Keep bending, bringing your hips down, but bring the side corner of your lips to your ears. Very good. Loving it. I know usually people love this pose. They like to stay in this pose for about 5 minutes. That makes you smile even more. I know that. A few more deep breaths. So again, you want to be working towards paralleling your thighs to the floor, sitting your butt down, but you don't want to be rounding, coming forward. You want your spine to be nice and straight. Don't worry, you're going to be feeling it into your legs. That's the whole aim of the pose. Nice and slow as you inhale, you come up. Oh, stepping forward, hands in prayer position, very good effort. We just finished with one last pose, so you can step at the back of your mat. Stepping your right leg, your left leg forward. Aligning your heels again together, so pretty wide stance. Back foot is 90-degree angle. Bringing your hands in prayer position in front of your knee. As you inhale, you're going to extend your arms out in T-shaped position. We're moving into Trikonasana. So trying to keep your whole body aligned on the axis of the mat. As you exhale, you're going to start reaching forward with your left hand. So we bend again at the hip crease here. So you reach forward, 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 forward. And then down, making sure you activate your quadricep at the front. And then you can bring your right arm up. If you're not reaching the floor, you just keep your hand to dangle onto the outside of the leg, so you're not putting any pressure onto your front leg. Otherwise, you might compromise your knee joints. So again, you want to be pulling with your quad in your kneecap. So feeling a bit more even relaxation onto your hip crease here. And you want to open the chest. So lean back with the right shoulder, looking up. Every inhale, you lengthen into the side of the body. Keep pressing onto the outside edge of the back foot. Breathing deeply in through the nose, out through the nose, so the legs are active. Pressing your feet into the floor, and see if you can feel that energy coming all the way through to your inner groin. You're there for a few more breaths. Not long. Keep going. One more breath. Very slowly as you inhale, you come up, pressing your feet into the earth, bending into your front knee, and you step forward. Prayer position, very good effort. Stepping at the back of your mat, we take the other side, so you can step your right foot forward. Again, same stance, promoting symmetry into the body, getting your alignment with your feet. Prayer position in front of your leg. And as you inhale, extend your arms. So again, feel this alignment on the axis of the mat. You want to keep that as you exhale and you start folding at the hip crease. So keep reaching forward. So imagine your dinner is there. You reach forward, 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 and then down. Again, no pressure onto your front leg. Reaching your left arm up, opening into the chest. So you want to lean back with your top shoulder. You want to be feeling the rotation, external rotation into your front leg so that your right hip gets put under, top hip on top. Again, you keep this alignment onto the axis of the mat. Top shoulder, left shoulder on top of your right, and you lengthen from your right fingers towards the earth, all the way up to the sky with your left finger, and you keep looking at your left thumb. Keep lengthening the crown of the head forward, tailbone back. Every inhale, every exhale, you soften into your right hip crease. Couple more breath here. Nice and slow. As you inhale, again, you press your feet into the earth, you come up, extend your arms, bend into your front knee, stepping forward, very good efforts. Coming down onto your knees, so release the pressure into the legs, just sitting there for a breath or two. You can keep your hands open to the sky, close your eyes. We just finish off with your back bend, Ustrasana, camel pose. So coming onto your knees, hip width distance apart, tucking your toes under, pressing your hands onto your sacrum, fingers pointing down or pointing up if you are more open, whichever option. You tuck your chin in and you start drawing your shoulder blades. Again, shoulder blades and elbows are drawing back towards each other. So you start with your chin in, making sure your hips are staying right above your knees, and you can start to arch into your upper back. So leaning back with your shoulders, keep relaxing your shoulders, opening through the chest, the collarbone. If you feel you can go further, you can start to look up, dropping your head back, feeling the stretch into the throat. If you are comfortable here and your hips are still right above your knees, you can bring your hands to your heels, keep pushing your hips forward, up right up to the sky. And maybe you can start to look at the wall behind you, dropping your head back. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Nice and slow, using your deep core muscles as you inhale, you come up, and again, you sit down onto your heels, just a couple of breaths, closing your eyes, just feeling into the chest, the heart region that we have just activated. Maybe still with your eyes closed, if you can, if you have good bearing or where you are on your mat. You can keep your eyes closed and just lean your hips to one side, extend your legs forwards, and we come down onto our backs. We'll just finish with a nice and easy supine twist, Asana. So you can bend into your left leg, shifting your hips and right leg slightly to center. So lifting your hips, you shift it to the center. You release, so you slightly onto your right side. Left arm extended in T-shaped position. Inhaling right into your chest. You get all of it with your right hand. Slowly as you exhale, you can start to come into twist. So we don't want to be pulling too much onto the knee, just using a little bit of weight from the hand and also using the breath. And we exhale, going a bit more into your twist, making sure that your right leg is active. So again, your right leg spine is on the axis of the mat. Deep breath in, lengthening into the spine. Deep breath out, softening. Making sure that you keep your shoulder blades in contact with the floor as much as possible. Turning your head towards the left for a full spinal twist. Couple more breaths. And then slowly as you inhale, coming back, very slowly marking a pause before you come back to full center, letting the nerves in the lower back readjust. You can release your foot on the floor, adjust your hips, extending your left leg. And we take the other side, again, right foot flat on the floor, lift your hips, shifting to center. Release, inhaling right knee into your chest, extending your right arm out. Nice and slow as you exhale, you come into a twist, so no rush. We've got a few breaths here to go a little bit deeper. Every breath, you just go a little bit deeper. Again, no pulling, use gravity, your breath. You can turn your head opposite to your knee for a full twist. Working from the sacrum all the way up through to your neck, your head. Shoulder blades are relaxed onto the floor. You should be feeling the stretch across the chest. Be there for one more breath. Nice and slow. Inhaling, coming up. Very slowly. Letting the nerves readjust. Again, you can realign your hips, maybe still with your eyes closed, and we're going to move into Shavasana, extending the legs, relaxing completely, arms by your side. You let your toes, you let your thumbs drop out to the side, and you just relax completely. We've got a few minutes here of complete relaxation, good workout with the shoulders, so see if you can really relax the shoulders, maybe you move your shoulders a little bit, rolling the shoulders so that you really relax, making sure that your neck is long. You can even take a deep breath in through the nose, sighing out the mouth. Just letting the shoulders, neck, upper spine relax completely. Middle spine, lower spine, hips softening. Nice and slow, you can start to come back into your body, deepening the breath, getting some movement into your toes, fingers. Still with your eyes closed. Maybe on your next inhale, you can stretch your arms overhead, stretching into the armpits, pointing your toes, and as you exhale, you roll over onto the left side, taking a few breaths in a fetal position, bending your knees, resting your hand on your arm. Still with your eyes closed. When you feel ready, you can gently press your hands into the earth to come up to a comfortable sit, bringing your hands in prayer position in the Anjali Mudra in front of your heart, spine long. Just taking a moment here to thank yourself, and also thank you for coming to practice with me, taking time for your own practice. Hopefully this is of good use and you put it in practice going forward as you continue on your yoga journey, free of injuries, so that you can keep going every day. Bringing the tips of the thumbs to the third eye, and we bow in gratitude to the divine light that resides within each one of us. Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, love and light. Gently blinking your eyes open when you feel ready. That's it for today.